evening, everyone. Tonight we're gonna start working on this single 212. We're gonna be replacing the input quill of the 42 gearbox. As you can see, after 6-hour flight, we can see oil. It's a pretty good leak. If you go on the other side, you do the one down wash, you can see it pretty much leak all over. So today we're going to be replacing the input quill seal. You have to take the right shaft, you take the clamps here, the big clamps there, and then continue with the flex coupling, and then we're not. I'm going to be showing you guys step by step. Okay, now as you can see, I already removed the right shaft. Here's the clamps. Now what I have to do now, I have to take the cheat detector, drain the oil. Don't forget about this. Sometimes when you're doing some work trying to change the seal, you concentrate so much on this that you forgot to drain the oil, and then you're going to spill over. This is not very bad here, but if you're talking about the 90 gearbox, then that's going to be a problem, because you're going to be shooting or draining oil all over the A-frame. So here we're going to be draining the oil through the cheat detector. There are different companies that they offer or sells an adapter where you put a hose on it and you drain it out, and that's one way you can do it. If you have to use a screwdriver, I will not advise, because you have a seat in place with a valve. It's like a check valve, and you can damage it. One thing that we used to do back in PSI was you check you look at the diameter. You look at the diameter of this, and what you do, you don't need 3 pins. With 1 pin is enough. So you can press in and lock it, and then you put a hose on it in order to drain the oil. Okay. Now what we're going to do, I'm going to take the retainer. I'm going to take this retainer. When you take a retainer, there's a spring and adapter. I'm going to show you later. I have to take the flex coupling completely to reach inside and take this nut. In this nut, we're going to have also the garlock seal, which is the one damaged and leaking, as you can see here. Now, I'm in a place, remote area. I don't have my drain tools, as I advise you guys to have it. When you're on the road, you don't have all the tools you need, and the one you need, you never have it with you. Well, I just cut out a piece of plastic water bottle that I will fit in here like this. Okay, well, with the bottle, and this is a 1/4 drive extension, already clean. It's round, nothing sharp. And what you do, you're going to install it through here, and the bottle, we cut it out. You press it on slowly, not too much, and you drain the oil, as I'm doing right now. You might ask me why this oil is too dark. Because this helicopter uses Mobile Jet 254. In a way, it's a darker color oil. Here we have the retainer and the other components, the spring, the retainer, and the cap that goes inside here. Now, if you look at it, we're going to have this retainer, which is inside is square. It's locking the bolt against this. I want to show you later. They got some 4 notches there. There's a pin. I'm going to put that on the video, where is the way we locked and safety of the nut, the bolt. Okay. In here, we're going to have already installed a bolt to pull it out, because you have an O-ring that's very hard to pull out the retainer. This is the function of this retainer. You're going to see later, is the device that's locking the nut, the bolt. We're going to be removing, and they in here, I'll show you later, have some 4 channels where a pin goes through. It's like a spring type of pin. I'll show you later as well. As you can see, you see I put a safety wire. I got the safety wire plier, and what I was trying to do, I just trying to pop it out because you have an O-ring, and this O-ring, sorry, that O-ring is very thick, and here you can see the square. That square goes inside that bolt we're gonna be removing, and in here you see you got a pin. It's kind of dirty right now. See if I can clean it. Now you see that pin here, that pin, you have different holes, so you have to find out which one is the right one, but that pin goes in either of those channels. You see a channel here, a channel there. You got 4 channels, a groove where that pin can go. It doesn't matter how you put it on it, just make sure that that pin, see how you see it better, that little pin is in those grooves I mentioned before. And again, when you're going to install that spring, you can put in any hole. As an advice, you can mark with a Sharpie on top all the holes location. We're going to have a lot of holes, and then you want to put it in here which one it is, and you do this without the O-ring. You put the last thing you do the O-ring, because it's going to be hard every time you in and out. When you find the right spot, then you put the O-ring and install it. Okay, now what we have to do, we need to lock the outer coupling with the T101 307. If you look at it, have some the same castle or crowns. You're going to install right there. We got a breaker bar here and another extension go there, and that's the one we need to turn. You're going to be holding this and turning that one, okay, in order to remove the bolt. After I brought the torque, I started unscrewing the bolt. There is a washer behind that bolt. It's for the marrying effect when you're torquing that bolt in there. It's kind of hard to do this. I'm filming at the same time. I think it's coming out. Alright. Okay. It should be a washer right here. Okay, this washer here is just for that effect. Remember, when you're going to install this, because it's very thin, it can not be sitting properly and you're going to squash it. So make sure when you put it here, it's flush. It could move around. You don't want that. You want to make sure it's center when you look it in there and then you start torquing it, okay? You're going to keep in place in location because you're going to have the inner coupling when you let go. But when you install the washer first, it can be sitting in an angle, and when you install this, you could bend and squash this, and of course the torque will not be correct. Just watch out for that. After I remove the bolt, really there's nothing holding the outer coupling, inner coupling together, and it just come out. One thing you have to check when you doing this Galaxy replacement is the gap or the wear or the groove or the seal. Maximum allow is 2000. And you can find that information on the component repair and overhaul manual. Okay, so watch out this. Again, because I'm working in a 212, you're gonna look in this on the 212 overhaul manual for the wear. all this process we doing right now, you're going to find it in the overhaul component repair and overhaul. So this is, even though you're using the overhaul books, you are doing a repair. That's the R on the books, component repair and overhaul. So remember, many places they have a conflict using the component repair overhaul on field maintenance. I'm in the middle of nowhere. I got nothing here. I'm in the middle of nowhere, and I'm not doing overhaul. I'm doing a repair. In this case, I'm trying to replace that Gearbox seal. The next step is going to take the safety wire here and remove this nut that at the same time comes with the seal, and then I have to replace the seal later. Continue with this video. Hope you like it. Now the next step, I already take the safety wire. You're gonna see Pro Seal around here. For some reason I don't see Pro Seal on this helicopter. You have to remove it. You have to remember this gearbox is mounted in 4 bolts into nut plates, so you have to be careful. You cannot start janking hitting this to remove it. One advice would be you can heat up this. That will allow you the Pro Seal to get softened. I don't know how much it is inside this. I never worked in this helicopter before. It's another company. Anyway, you can clean the Pro Seal as much as you can. Heat it up. This part here, reference, is the gearbox input quill here in the area, and trying to be gentle on this. This is a good sample of what not to do. Look at the damages they have. One of the things you can do is when you install the breaker bar, some people like to do it this way. Yeah, like this. It's gonna be hard. So what you do, you cross the breaker bar on top of the tool, and that way you can force it from the center, give you better leverage this way. Okay, so because I'm working alone, I cannot film it and break the torque. See you later, guys. Well, I removed the nut. The nut was loose. Here's so interesting. This nut have a very important function that preload the outer races of the bearing, and look at what happened. This shiny, it was running into it. Okay, remember this torque is 100 foot-pound. This is very important. Okay, watch out, guys, when you're doing this. Sadly, I run out of battery. I removed the nut, and I replace the O-ring and the Gearbox seal. Okay, the Gearbox seal, you're gonna have one lip. They are double lip seal. This is single lip seal. Seal gonna go inboard as a reference. The lips, where the location you're gonna put on is where you want to keep the oil. I want the lip inboard because I want to keep the oil inside. Some seals they use it for greasing. You're gonna install it backwards. Like I don't want to say why backwards, but with the lip outboard, because when you grease it, you want to purge the grease. So that's one reason how the lip functions. If you have any doubt, they have some cut out on the books that show the way you install the seal. One good reference, you're gonna have like a spring to put some tension on the lip, and I give you a reference for orientation if you are new doing Gearbox seal. Sadly, my battery run out, and I'm in a rush. I'm working in a helicopter that tomorrow I have to continue firefighting, and I have to finish it up tonight. Okay, I'm so sorry. Also, the packing that goes in the nut, and I installed the seal with Pro Seal. Okay, now what I'm doing now, I'm gonna take a degreaser, clean it all around. I'm gonna put Pro Seal around the nut and the case or the quill housing, so it prevents corrosion. Okay, now you can see the nut is torn down, the seal is installed in the field. it's kind of hard to do a nice and neat proceed around. I'm gonna wait a little bit longer. We start getting tacky. I just put a little hydraulic on my finger and I'm trying to smooth it out. But doing now it's gonna be worse. Now what I'm gonna do, start installing the flex coupling, and for that I'm gonna have, of course, we'll talk about the nut, the bolt, sorry. Here's the bolt. Then we're gonna have the flex coupling. What I do with the flex coupling is all the grease still there. I drop a little bit, so I'm gonna put a little bit for all the 204 grease that come out. It's not that much, and then pack it back in and ready to go. Install the dry shaft and service the 42 gearbox. Remember, one thing I didn't mention to you: when I drain the gearbox, I put a sticker or a tape or masking tape, whatever you want, on the cyclic of the pilot, where it says 42 gearbox, oil. That's it. That's enough. Nothing else. Nothing more. In that way, for some reason you forget about it, it's late. It's already 10 p.m. And we start the day today at 7 a.m. So really, it's a long day, and I can forget something. We're human beings, so in this way, I'm protecting myself. If I made a mistake before the pilot crank up, he knows that something is not right. He can ask me or somebody else in order to check the level of the 42 gearbox. Okay? Okay. Well, as I told you earlier, the new packing, I don't install it yet. And I told you that you have different holes all over the places. This retainer, it's like a spring with pins sticking out, and you have to make sure that you only have 4 options in here. Okay, that goes on that square of the bolt. So you only have 4 places where you can put that pin. So what I did, already know what it is. It's gonna be the one in the bottom, this one here. So without the ring, I'll move it around, and as you can see there, it's kind of hard to see, the pin is already, if you can see it, the pin is already there, locking the bolt. Okay, it's important to understand that the nut, this big nut here that we just torqued it down before, is to pinch, preload, or lock the outer race of the bearing. This bolt square one there, with the help of the inner coupling, is to lock the inner races of the thrust bearings. Thrust bearings is very important that the races are locked in place. That can be done by bolts, sometimes by shims, and the reason is that the thrust bearing absorb forces that if are not done properly, the locking of the races and the races turn, it can wear the liner or the housing where the bearing is, causing particles, or you can even get worse where freeze or damage the whole housing or quill. So thrust bearings are only authorized overhaul technicians to disassemble thrust bearing, not field maintenance technicians. Okay, after install everything, the lock and everything, the last thing before we start closing up everything, make sure that you make your own template or workate that you go over the spline 120,000. That's the amount of grease 204 to go over the splines. Okay, because I am not serving this flex coupling, what I did, I replenish, measuring the amount, correct amount, and added whatever is needed and close it. Because when I open it up, and because it was hot, it was draining down this grease. When it's hot, when the helicopter is running, it liquefies, become liquid. It has two functions. It lubricates, but also helps in cooling. This is a grease property of the helicopter. Invented this grease many years ago. It's a very good grease, and it used pretty much in all the flex coupling on the medium group. After this is done, which I already finished, I'm going to install the parts required to close down the flex coupling. One thing important to see on the retainer, this retainer is got a gap. This is not good a sign. If I was doing overhaul, I'll replace it. Okay, it's no big deal right now because I have no other one, but you guys, if you are in a shop, it will be a very good advice to replace it. And this happens when people pull their retainer. You never pull the retainer because you become on a spring. It's supposed to be closed all the time. You're not supposed to see any gap on the retainers. Okay, be careful when you remove it. Here's finally the retainer. It's installed, and many people, not everybody, have the practice to put a torque seal in a way to indicate that the retainer was checked to be installed all the way in and is secure.